Right, so I've got one of the GSIs in today. So we're going to do a cam belt, and also we're going to replace the water pump. The water pump's leaking. It doesn't leak all the time. It just leaks certain times and it's intermittent. But we're going to change that out anyway. It's normally the seal around the water pump. It has been replaced, but I'm going to show you the best parts to use when you do it yourself. So whenever you're going to do these major jobs, always use the best parts. This cam belt's a GM Gates cam belt. Also the water pump, GM water pump. Going to use all GM parts on this car. There's no point, you're only going to do this once in the lifetime of the car. Use a proper seal with it as well. These are the plastic blade ones, so they don't all rust up and get corroded. The tensioner, so the tensioner as well, this is a GM tensioner. You can see it's a proper Opel item. The best items to use are the GM ones, especially the tensioners. You don't have any problems with them. So on the Z20let, you'd have two plastic idler pulleys like this. You can see here, this is a GM one as well. On the Z20let, as you can see, you will find that you have a metal one as well. This one would be for the exhaust side. If I'm running really high power engines, I'll run this on the inlet side as well. FGP is a genuine item. So this is the water pump that just come out of the car, and this one's been replaced. The car's done 70,000 miles and it's already had a cam belt change. I've just scraped off most of it already, but this is the reason. Never use sealant on these water pumps. I don't know why people keep doing it. All that water pump is just, all the cavity was just full up with sealant, and this seal is just flat, because what happens is you put this sealant on, it crushes up against the block, and it's just cheap, crappy sealant. So as soon as it starts to break down, there's no seal. Don't use sealant on a Z20let water pump. Just use the seal. I've never had them leak, so I don't know why people do it. As you know with me now, I'm always using a torque wrench to torque up all the bolts to spec. Line up the water pump with the notch in the cam belt cover. So that's the cam belt all timed up. This ain't no how-to video. There's plenty on YouTube if you want to watch them. All the idler pulleys all done up for 25 Newton meters if you want to know. Use a locking tool for the cam pulleys. Make sure they stay in the same place. Turn the engine over by hand. Let's get it back together. So I just wanted to introduce this car into the channel. It's a car that's going to be built up in the future, so you will be seeing a lot of it. At the minute, it's got some nice bits on it. It's a nice, well-spec'd stage 3 car, really clean shell, so it's an ideal base. The owner's just enjoying driving it at the minute, but it's going to be built up throughout the summer and autumn time, so look forward to that. So today's video is going to be more of a mechanical theme. I thought this would be a perfect way to show you around the CVH engine. We're going to do a couple of upgrades to it. We've got a misfire issue. It's not electronic, it's definitely mechanical. So anyone that knows the way around this CVH engine is going to know that it's definitely a cam issue. So I started to take the engine apart, and I thought, why not film it, show you it, show you failures that happen, these CVH engines and why it happens, and also show you around the engine itself, because a lot of you guys are going to be from the 16 valve, more modern engine era. So this is obviously a very old engine, 1960s, 1970s. But it's still going today. So first off, you can see this is a single cam engine that runs off rocker arms via a lifter. So the camshaft runs down the center of the head. The lobe pushes up this lifter. These are hydraulic lifters, and these are what notoriously foul on the CVH engine. Along with the camshaft, the lobes wear on them badly. Normally they flatten off, which is probably what we're going to find today. The car's finding it hard to rev over 5,000 RPM, so we're definitely going to find a camshaft failure at some point. It doesn't look like the lifters have fouled, but we're going to take them out and have a look at them anyway. Let's get this cork gasket out of the way. So that weren't the greatest gasket in the world. We switched over to that, but it's still poor. You can see that the head is very clean, the lifters are very clean, they ain't long been replaced, but there's some mechanical failure inside the engine, so that's what we're going to find. So we're going to strip it down right now, and you're going to join me, and you can see a lot of people that are joining me from the channel might be Opel. If you've got a CVH engine, you'll know this off by heart now. So we're going to take the camshaft out, lifters, check it all over. I'm expecting to find the camshaft with hardly any lobes on it. That's just the normal way. It's down to the springs on these cars as well. They and they pour oil in the head. These springs, they supply at maximum lift about 225 pounds of pressure. If you compare that to a 16 valve head that will give you around 125 pounds of pressure at full lift, you'll know the difference, because they have to move these really heavy rocker arms, and you still get valve float above 7,000 RPM. Even though we've got the strong springs that are in there at the minute, these are the Kent ones. We're going to upgrade this to a Newman cam now, and we're going to go solid lifters because the valve control is so poor at the minute. These lifters are terrible. I think they're a Burton part. You can't get hold of genuine lifters anymore. You can't get hold of decent lifters. The only way around it is to go solids. So that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to pull this camshaft out and see what we find. So while these parts are off the car, it's a perfect time to show you them more in detail, as you haven't seen them properly off the car before. You've only seen them assemble. This is a full Cosworth throttle body. You can see there's the idle control valve. This is the throttle position switch. This is the idle screw. And there's the throttle linkage. These have got modified brackets as well to hold the throttle cable for the CVH engine. You can see inside there that we're going to pull that out when we go to an anti-lag setup as well. Right, so I've just pulled out the lifters out of the head so I can show you the camshaft more clearly. You can see down there, I moved this backwards and forwards. That is the camshaft. That is the lobe. You can see it moving backwards and forwards there. That one looks pretty good, but I'm expecting to find damage on one of them, or even two or three. Now that one's pretty good as well. I'm just going to go over these and I'll show you what I find. So just removed the pulley, removed the triggering setup for the cam, Woodruff key as well. The cam seal's been leaking a little bit, so we get that off and we've changed that at the same time. You can see this here, this is a thrust plate for the cam. Don't try to remove the cam if you don't remove that. And then on the EFI cars, because they don't have a distributor over this side, they have a blanking plug, so you need to remove that, and always replace these when you remove them. Well, so the camshaft's finally out, and I've seen what the problem is. Just want to give you a quick look around the camshaft before I show you, because it's quite hilarious. This camshaft is a Kent, you can see K, CVH 35 camshaft, so it's a proper Kent camshaft. It's not old at all, it's probably done 1,000 miles at that, and I don't know what they're making these camshafts out of now, but I know that the Newman cams are chill blanked, which is a hardened blank. But I've got to show you what the problem is. So this is obviously a cam lobe. Anyone knows a camshaft? These are cam lobes. So let's have a look at these. These are all good. It's got some wear on them, but that's just normal for a cam lobe. So you've got this one here, which has gone, it's started to chew away. You can see there that it's the material itself. It's not a fully hardened camshaft, so the material's just dreadful, whatever they're making these out of now. These Kent camshafts used to be brilliant, and that's why we used to use them. So skip to this side as well, just started to get a bit of wear on here. And you can see again, it's removed the outer coating. So this camshaft was running properly. Cam lube, it was running with 3,000, 4,000 RPM, 20 minutes, absolutely perfect. No damage to lifters at all. What's happened here is, drum roll, so there you can see it. Where has that lobe gone on that exhaust valve? So even this one, that's flattened off a little bit, and it starts to break away, that's still got a lobe on it. Look at that one. So that's how it should look. Well, even that's a little bit got damage on it. That's how it should look. Proper cam lobe, valves fully lifting. Look at that lobe there, totally chewed itself up. Now if you look at closer, you can see that the blank is starting to break away. There's parts of it that started to break away. Then there's no damage to the lifter. So if it was a lifter that's chewed it up, the lifter would have been smashed to pieces. I'll show you what all the lifters look like. But you can see here, there's absolutely no lobe on it. So silver lining to everything. I always try to make a silver lining. We're going to upgrade this now to a CVH, from a CVH 35 to a Newman chill blanked solid lifter cam, solid lifters, so that we can run higher RPM. and we ain't going to have none of this problem with these crappy lifters anymore. So you can see here, all the lifters, these are hydraulic. They look brand new. Normally they'd be chewed up on the bottom. You can see there's no wear on them. Obviously they have to swirl round, but there's no chunks out of them. So these haven't damaged the camshaft themselves. The camshaft has just started to break away on its own. The major issue, which I'll show in a sec, is with the valve springs themselves. On the CVH, the valve spring is so much heavier than a 16 valve head. A 16 valve head would typically have a pressure at full lift at about 125 pounds, but on a CVH valve spring, you're going to have around 225 to 250 pounds of pressure at full lift. And the reason for that is that they've got to move that rocker arm and the lifter, so it takes so much more pressure. And the ironic thing about it is these valve springs, obviously they're single and they're heavy duty, they still won't handle no more than 7,000 revs. Whereas if you went to a heavy duty valve spring on, say, a 16 valve head, 8,000 plus with a solid lifter setup. So another good thing about it, now it's all apart, is it gives us a chance to just go over, clean up the engine, replace any of the little gaskets that need replacing, general maintenance, and then we have to get the camshaft in. So I'll be able to show you in the next video how we're going to get the camshaft in, and we're going to adjust the lifters, solid lifters, so that they're all properly set up, and we run the cam in and show you how it's done properly. So that one can go sleep for a couple of days. I'm probably going to go and pick up the cam kit myself instead of getting it delivered, so I'll get it a bit quicker. But on a lighter note, just got a new car cover for this one. Well, it's actually for the red GSI, but it's going on this one for a bit until the red GSI is built, and then I won't have to clean it as much, so I can just keep it polished and just keep it under a cover. It's got straps and everything. You can see it's a proper tailor-made cover as well. It's an outdoor one. It's got 3 layers, breathable, waterproof, the whole lot. Has straps that go down the side here that go under the car. It wasn't cheap, but it's well worth the money. You can see how nice it fits on the Astras. And what I like about this channel is I'm just kind of bridging the differences between the Ford boys and the Vauxhall boys, and trying to bridge it together, because there should be no rivalries. It's ridiculous. But on another note, we've got this one to play with as well now. Red SRI Turbo, super rare. And the Opel guys, they know how rare this is. There was only 25 made in red, so a bit of work to do on this one to get it back to standard.